all for micro brands taking risks in the market, and when they do, we're often delighted by spectacular watches. This is the Redentore Purple Enigma from Venezianico that I reviewed about a month ago. It is a great looking watch. It has a segregated sub-dial for the hours, and the outer perimeter of the dial is for the minutes. It was an oddball dress watch with great case quality and finishing and an interesting dial to look at. Now this brings my attention to the brand's other offering, the Arsenale 40. This has been a watch I've been meaning to bring in for review and consideration for a long time. I've personally loved the design of this watch and have been wanting to get one of my own, and here I am. Now, the Arsenale 40 positions itself interestingly in the market. It undercuts the Tissot PRX and the Christopher Ward 12. However, what it offers up is a very nice balance of quality and features. First of all, the 40mm wide, completely stainless steel case has 44mm lug-to-lug length and an industry-leading 8.95mm thick case, which means it undercuts the Christopher Ward by nearly a full millimeter. It even undercuts the Tissot PRX Powermatic 80 by nearly 2mm thickness. Often what can make or break an integrated sport bracelet watch is the bracelet, no surprise. What I mean by that is that it is the most substantial component of the watch. In that regard, it should be good quality. And the Canova Concept bracelet is exactly that. Made up of entirely brushed finishing with composite polished surfaces with the inner components of the lugs to the chamfer outer edges of the bracelet, it is actually a unique, interesting, and visually appealing bracelet. My only gripe with it is outside of the screw pin system, which is easy to use, is the butterfly clasp. Now, I've experienced this clasp on the Tudor Royal. One of the reasons why I sold that watch is the butterfly clasp would never allow me to get the comfort on the wrist. It never sat right. Never perfectly symmetrical on my wrist and always awkward. Now, you may argue with me on this regard, but I find that a use of a simple fold-over clasp to be far more comfortable. The case finishing is a good match to the bracelet in quality. It has the same satinated brush finishing on the side of the case and the crown guard, with high polished edges on the top of the case. And the side of the case, you do see that there are 2 screws on each side that help with fixing the bracelet and rubber strap to the watch itself. Now, this is a rather difficult system to operate to remove the bracelet or rubber strap that's included. You have to use 2 different sets of screwdrivers and get a good purchase on each one, twist them in opposite directions. I would have preferred a quick release spring bar mechanism for releasing the bracelet from the watch, in my honest opinion. The laser engraved artwork that is the case back is a depiction of the iconic towers of the Arsenale, which was an early shipyard building area of Venice, responsible for large-scale industrial efforts in building up Venice's naval force. It really much was a tribute to mass production and using of the assembly line production methods to build ships. You may agree or disagree with me, and feel free to do so in the comments, that integrated bracelet sport watches tend to look pretty similar to one another. The design itself doesn't lend a whole lot for creativity. Now, you can also argue that this watch has a bit of all the great integrated sport watches design elements. That coin edge bezel, it kind of reminds me of a PF Tonda. The case shape, a bit of Tissot PRX matched with Vacheron Constantin overseas. However, the finish work and the way that the watch has been executed for under $800 is tremendous, I have to say. Much as I find the Canova bracelet to be a good match for the watch, the rubber strap is far more comfortable. It has ample eyelets for comfort to get the size dialed in for your wrist. The way it integrates with the watch curves straight down, following the curvature of the case. The effective lug-to-lug distance of the watch is expanded by the way that the rubber strap and bracelet flares out from the case. However, on my 6.4-inch wrist, it is just fine. It's manageable. I believe that if you have a wrist as small as 6.3 inches, you still will be able to pull off this watch all the way up to 7.5 inches, no problem at all. I recognize that looking at the watch on camera, there is a bit of parallax and the watch may seem larger. So here's a more zoomed out appearance for the watch, just to give you some perspective of how it fits on my wrist. Although the watch does come in a variety of colors, blue and purple, meteorite and aventurine, The gray speaks to me more. It seems to show off the Côte de Genève finishing very well under bright lighting conditions, and you can see the depth of the finishing on the dial, matched with the fact that the indices are applied. They're sitting on the edge of the chapter ring. The hands are simple. There is no seconds hand here. You're getting your minutes, your hours, skeletonized, and they're done very well. The crown has good knurling and it is kettle shaped. It is a good size to the rest of the watch as well. Easy to operate, to unscrew, and little to no play at all within the crown tube, which signifies that they paid attention to make sure that the user interface of adjusting the time, winding the watch, is a good experience. However, the Miyota 9039 was never a nice winding watch, in my opinion. In closing statement, I think the use of the Côte de Genève dial is very eye-catching and pleasing to see. Would I have preferred the use of a seconds hand on this watch? Possibly. I know that the later versions of the Arsenale with the Aventurine dial and the Meteorite dial do feature a different handset, not skeletonized, and does have a second hand. Now, with that being said, the use of the Miyota 9039 ensures that this watch remains to be thin. Now, what can be done to elevate this watch even further? If I was Venezianico, I would give this a quick release spring bar system for both the bracelet and rubber strap. I would also remove the butterfly clasp and use a simple fold-over system with a quick, easy adjustment out for summertime wristwatch wearing. Now, combined with that, the increase of water resistance from 50 meters to at least 100 meters would be a welcome addition, given that the competitors often have over 100 meters of water resistance. And finally, the use of a movement that is the B3250, based on the Soprod M100, has been utilized in the later editions of the Arsenale. It'd be nice to see that here.